All right, well, welcome to Around the Horn on Zag Nation, a unique glimpse into Gonzaga baseball, part of Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation. With this being our first episode, you cannot have a GU baseball podcast in any form without starting with the man himself, the all-time wins leader, former head coach, and one of the most notable figures in the rise of GU athletics, Coach Steve Hertz, a man who goes by many nicknames, from 14 to Silver Fox, to Hertzy, to simply Coach. He has a bronze bust of himself on campus, and the baseball field is named after him. Welcome, Hertzy.
Michael, get loose.
There we go, man. So tell me a little bit. So tell the world, tell Zag Nation a little bit about what brought you to GU and the evolution of it all.
Okay, first of all, there's a lot of great men before this bag of bones ever set foot there. So, and a lot of great men too. So we'll talk about those individuals, maybe hopefully a little bit later. But I was, you and I come from the same neck of the woods, the San Fernando Valley, which is kind of crazy since, do people know you're my son-in-law?
I don't think so. We can go right to that early.
We might as well get that straight now, and they can start thinking about, weird recruiting things if you want. But
hey, you recruited your son-in-law. Come on now.
Yeah, well, I should have been paying way more attention, I guess. When it came to recruiting, Michael was a highly recruited left-handed pitcher from Southern California. I mean, he was. And so his arm kind of went bonkers on him, his shoulder to be specific. And but he was my lefty. He didn't like that I called so many breaking balls because he had literally a great one. And he was trying to tell me how hard he threw, and so we went back and forth on that. But we can get to your essence.
Let's do you. Let's do
a little later, I guess.
Thank you.
Gosh, that was a long time ago, Michael. I'm in my 70s, and so. But yeah, I will tell you, it's fresh in my mind like it happened yesterday. And I went to two high schools, Chaffee High School and Taft High School, to graduate. A couple other guys that played at the junior college I went to. I didn't get recruited by any Division I's like you, big boy, but I did get recruited at the local junior college. Yeah, LA Pierce College. And it just so happened, unfortunately, the guy that was the head coach and recruited me passed away that summer. God bless him, but that's what happened. So we went in cold, and a couple other guys, a guy by the name of Doug the Sensei. I was third baseman at the time, by the way. So was he, from Monroe High School in the Valley. And guess who won the job? Wasn't me. The Sensei went on to have a great major league career. And I had to fight my way onto every team I played on to be a pitcher. You need one more pitcher, right, Coach?
Always need arms. We'll talk about that too.
Yeah. So I was looking to walk on at UCLA, Christian, and that's all that was. But it was all that I had. I got a call one night at home, and my mom said, "It's the coach, Steve. It's the coach from Gone." And I go, well, let me take it. So and it was Larry Kentop, a Zag great in his own right. And he make a long story short, offered me a scholarship. And I said, well, thank you very much, Coach. I'm actually going to walk on at UCLA. He goes, we play them, you can start against them.
Great recruiting tactic. I like that.
It really happened. I mean, it happened. I can't remember the outcome of that game, which is bad news when you're trying to reflect back 60 years or so, right? It means if I had won, I'd probably remember the whole thing.
We always say all pitchers need to have really short memories.
So I said, well, thank you very much. I appreciate the call. And I hung up. And my dad comes in the room and goes, who was that? I go, well, it's the coach from Gon in Spokane. And he goes, Gonzaga in Spokane. I go, yes. He goes, that's a great school. Bing Crosby went there. And at least I knew growing up in my household who Bing Crosby was. And so that my dad knew that right away, which was kind of cool. And
so this is all over. I like this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the turn of, like we're sitting in Spokane right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Both of us.
Yeah.
Maybe if that little twist doesn't happen, I don't have the two most beautiful grandkids in the world. And anyway, you could go on and on about that.
Sure.
So he says, call him back. Long story short, Vicky and I, we've been married for 50 years this year, mm-hmm. and high school sweethearts. And we decided to go visit the school. We get off the plane. In those days, you got off on the tarmac all the time, mm-hmm. Not just occasionally. And it was snowing as they opened the door, and we looked at each other and went, oh my God, it's snowing. We've never seen it snow. And I think before we got to the bottom of the stairway, we said, this is where we want to go play. And we did. And that's how my recruiting started. Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So here's the big question. Put your recruiting hat back on, right? An all-time wins leader. You coached for over 2 decades. You still hold the single season wins record, right? 48 of them in 1981, right? Why be a Zag?
This is not a quick answer to a fabulous question. In all my years, Michael, mm-hmm. I'm proud to say I've been asked that question a lot by virtue only of my lots of years breathing in and out as a Zag. And people say, where does that nickname come from? What does it mean? And all of us who are Zags and people who didn't even go there but have fallen in love with this school, this concept of Zag, are really so fortunate. It's and it's not, and I've also been granted the idea of coming up with that word. Absolutely not. It was in the vernacular around Boone Avenue long before I got there or was born. And right. And I know this because I researched the heck of it. And all you have to do is walk down the top two, the first floor and the second floor of the ad building, or that's what you and I remember it as. It's now College Hall, right? And but I'll always call it the ad building. And you go back, you go back to before, the 1880s. And there are team pictures of football teams and basketball teams, and yes, baseball teams in the 1880s. I mean, guys, I get chills. It's awesome.
Right.
So there is so much when talk about there's a lot of Zags that aren't going to get the pub just because of technology.
Right.
That you and I will enjoy and our kids. So, but Zag is something I do have to say, yes, I heard that word, that one syllable word. I wanted all our with Gonzaga baseball, I wanted our whole essence to be concentrated in one syllable, Zag. I really did. And it came from I'll give credit to a great baseball coach out of Southern California. And I'm sure you're aware of him, Wally Kincaid. Mm-hmm. And Wally Kincaid was the roots of a great tree, Dave Snow, Augie Garrido. That's the tree that Wally Kincaid began. And it was at a junior college, Cerritos Junior College. And they were called, their nickname was like some bird. I don't even remember what bird, but it was like, and they had a blue shirt. When we go play them, they had a blue shirt, or their uniform said birds. Now, that's a pretty obscure, but everyone who knew baseball knew, ooh, you played the birds? Really, it had this aura to it. And I thought, that's what I want for this program. It needs to have that. It needs to have something that creates more than I swung and I hit it, or I swung and I missed, and I threw a ball or a strike. I didn't want things to hinge on that. I wanted things to hinge on character things. And so, yeah, I pushed that. And we got, and some of our kids at home, who are your relatives, by the way, and you know that they have old just Zag t-shirts everywhere. I wanted to plaster the world with Zag t-shirts. Zags? Zags? Go Zags? Yeah, now it's, and everybody who's a Zag or follows the Zags in any sport has reason to be proud of that.
Well, it's just like Dave Snow's dirt bags, right?
Yeah.
Shade. So you started to put it together. It's a brand, right? And I think when you start to talk about the evolution of our program, right, and you think about this, this coaching staff wouldn't be what it is without you, right? You think about it. Mark Machtoff was an assistant coach under you, an associate head coach under you, right? You recruited Danny Evans. You coached Brandon Harmon when he was still in high school and American Legion ball. So tell us about your thoughts on this coaching staff, how special they are.
Yeah, when you said Harmon's name, I thought 3 years.
We'll throw Winnie into this too. You got to throw Winnie into it. So we got this thing, and Evan Wells. So you started to put them all together.
And the Bobcat too.
Bobcat for sure.
Is our trainer and is as close as any coach to those players, and maybe closer, right?
Right.
You went through owies and injury. I don't know if Bobcat was he there?
No. Brad Bachmeyer. Another
great trainer.
Yeah.
You know. This coaching staff, I have the great honor of meeting I heard about Mark Mactoff when he was in high school. And he was arguably the greatest all-around athlete to come out of Spokane. I mean it. Like he's 6'3", and he still holds the record in the GSL basketball for rebounds.
Ooh, Dennis Rodman and Mark Mactoff. I like this.
You know what? Why? Well, I'll get into that. You know, we'll talk about that. You know, his character and his competitiveness, ridiculously off the chart. He was in football in high school. He was a linebacker, defensive end. Linebacker and tight end. And he dominated every game he played from those positions. That's difficult. Okay, you're not the quarterback.
Right.
And then of course in baseball, which I would have to say he was a really good baseball player, but not as good as basketball player, football player in high school. I mean, he's really good, and so I went and watched him play, and I go, wow, he's a tremendous competitor and a gentleman on the field. His family was knock your socks off, wonderful family. And I made one recruiting call to him just to make sure that down the road, and here we are a long ways down the road, he and I are very close. Why didn't you ever call me? I didn't want that to be the case. So I called him and I go, Mark, congratulations on your year, having a great year. I would be amazingly remiss if I didn't call you and say, is Gonzaga in the cards at all? And he says, Coach, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's so gracious. And he said, I'm actually, you know, looking at Stanford because of football and baseball, and the UW because of football and baseball. And I go, hey, you can be the greatest intramural football player of all time at Gonzaga. He laughed, and I go, I'm just kidding. So I say, hey, best of luck to you. I know you'll be great. And there are many stories on top of that one. Harm is like, I feel like I had something to do with him growing up. I mean, he's sophomore in high school. He played for me all summer. Junior in high school, same thing. Senior in high school, same thing. And then he goes to Gonzaga. And I'm proud to say I had a little bit to do with making sure that happened because he was such a great competitor. And I think he owns it. I don't know, Michael, you'll know before but I think he owns the record for most appearances, which is a great, that means.
I can pull that up really quick. You're pretty darn close.
You know what?
Correct.
How about that for a stat? Because that means the head coach decided more than anyone in history to put you in this game. I love that.
Is that a bigger stat than your 7 shutouts as a pitcher? Second all time in program history?
Yes, it is. Yeah, well, okay. So Harm is like I'm related to him, like you. And Danny, I'm gonna take full credit for that because we were, and you were on this road trip. We were in San Francisco. I said we need a quality Division I shortstop that can come in as a freshman and play. And I flew to Phoenix. You guys flew to San Francisco.
We came in the same year. We're the same year.
Yeah.
So he arrived on campus same year as me.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you weren't on that trip.
Nope.
So stop being so.
I know. You did mention you're 70.
This would
you
have made
know,
a better
now.
story. Okay.
Yeah.
So I go to Phoenix. Mac takes the team to San Francisco. I meet him there that night. I come into their room and then Mac goes, "Well, how was Evans?" And I go, "We want him. Absolutely. He is the guy." And so I'll never forget the next week he comes to visit and Mac is out there. He's literally on his hands and knees, making the shortstop area of our field like perfect, taking little rocks out of it. He did. So that awesome. Danny Evans would pick Gonzaga to move on in his baseball life. And boy, has he ever. And then down the road, he met some gal named Kelly. And they have two of the cutest kids on the planet. And he's been, and I saw, has he been here then 19 years? Is that?
Now you're aging me.
So, I know, and that's okay. Right? Even though you have very little gray hair, yeah, I see it. And that's bison stuff there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's from managing the bison.
Yeah, that's right.
I have a few that they contributed to.
So think about this coaching staff, right? You think about the team they've assembled, right? 15th in the country, first in the WCC. If you could describe this team being around the game as long as you've been around in this kind of 20 or 30 seconds, what does this team show itself to you as?
We've got some, I don't think we're spectacular at the plate. I think we don't strike out. Mm-hmm. I think we have a bunch of guys that come to the plate and can put up good at bats, like a lot of them in a row. And so that speaks to me. They'll take a walk, they'll get hit by pitch, and they won't strike out. That stuff right there, anytime you put the ball in play, you have a chance to be efficient, move runners, knock runners in. You don't have to hit home runs and knock runners in. Yes, we've been way more productive with, extra base hits and home runs and all that stuff. And this guy's going to be a third round pick or an 8th round pick. But this team is really efficient offensively. Okay, that's one thing. When you get opportunities to score, this team gets them in.
And led by a freshman, Cade McGee. If you think about it, as you told me the other day, he doesn't play like a freshman.
No, he's not Cade McGee. He's Darren Holcomb. That's who he is. That's a
really darn impressive comparison.
It really is. Because Hulk was Brandon Harmon's best friend. Same year in high school. They played together on those three. What was the name of our team? Blue Devils. You helped me with that team.
Yep.
You were the pitching coach. So
was that?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I'll take it.
Am I wrong? No.
Hey.
No. So and Hulk was one of the most advanced players for a high school player I had ever seen. Now, we all concur, don't we, that if his back hadn't gone out,
he's a big leaguer.
He'd be in the big leagues playing. He'd play for 18, 20 years, right?
100%.
And so he and Harm were hooked at the hip, and
So think about this.
Oh, okay. So you brought up Cade McGee.
That's me. I took you off. That's on me.
Okay. Now this team. Speaking about this team's, they're efficient offensively. They roll up great at bats. Now, with the impact that Danny has had on this program, Mac's an offensive guru. We know that. Danny is a defensive guru. We have had, how many years have we gone in a row now fielding at 980?
It's amazing if you think about it.
It's amazing.
Danny played, right? Travis Jewett was one of your assistant coaches when we played, and he was a nitpick about defense, right? I always joke with our 13-year-old players that Jewett used to always say, you can always pick your teeth up, but you'll never be able to make the same play twice.
That's a great line. He had a few great lines.
Yeah, he did.
Whenever I was mad at him for doing something, he'd just crack some line like that or joke, and I'd start laughing, and then I'd love him again. That's how Jewett was. He was awesome. But Danny has been the influence defensively, and you don't win like they've won. They're without question the most dominant, successful baseball program in the West Coast Conference the last decade. And so you have Mac's influence, and you have Danny's, and then Harm. They've got, with this team, I've never seen anything like this. I've been around a lot of great programs, Christians, Bruins, Augie Garrido's Titans, Dave Snow's Dirtbags, Scott Muckey's
Crespi Celts, if you forget
Crespi Celts.
Come on now.
No, I love the Celts because how many Celts have became Zags?
Well, Magic, of course.
Like
Chris McGann.
There are a lot. I'll bet there were 8.
Sure.
8 or 9.
I always say Muck knew what he was doing.
He was a great baseball man. Mm-hmm. And that Scott Muckey was Michael's high school coach. So that now the arms we have, you keep quoting. Now you know me, my grandkids, your kids will go, hey, Papa, how hard did you throw? I was a pitcher. How hard did you throw? And I go, well, Joe, they didn't have guns. They had muzzle loaders back, in the old times. They had those kinds of guns.
You're not Walter Johnson's age. You're all right. Come on now.
But they honestly didn't have them.
Right.
And so I go, well, Joe, the way we said it back then, how hard did you throw? Hard enough.
That's what I'm going to start using now. I'm going to start using hard enough.
Hard enough. Mm-hmm. Hard enough to get it by those guys. But I know about velocity and that. And maybe we'll get a chance to talk about that deeper. But these guys, I mean, Gabriel Hughes is upper 90s. He pitches at mid 90s, and he takes it up a notch. Now that to me is the true ingredient to a great pitcher. If they can go, okay, I got to punch this guy out, and you can do it, and they do it, and they get a punchy, and they go and they pitch their game that way, and need one. And so Hughes is that way. The kid who's not even, he's got a bad finger right now is William Kepner. He's
the hardest thrower of the ball.
I guess he's throwing the ball 100 miles an hour. I'm 100 years old. I've never been on a field where a guy threw the ball 100 miles an hour. So I can't wait for the day he gets healthy and he comes back at the end of the year and we jump on him and ride him to the promised land. And so you got that guy. Then you got this young kid, Tristan, which I think of Brad Pitt every time I hear the name Tristan. Why do I do that?
Yeah.
Oh,
movie buff.
Legends of the Fall.
Yes.
Okay. Tristan Vrailing is another, sits at mids, can bump it up to highs, 90s. Then we got a guy coming out of the bullpen who is it's like the guy they bring in to pitch to Roy Hobbs in The Natural. Remember that?
Oh,
He's
if you were gonna,
that's
Brody Jesse.
Brody Jesse.
I always say Brody Jesse, if you were gonna write a story, a Western story, Brody Jesse is the name of a gunfight, seems to me.
Yeah. Well, Jesse James, you know.
So tell me this, do you think when you look at this team, people always say winning a league championship, going to a regional, making it to a super regional, and the potential chance of every ball player's dream to make it to Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
Is this pitching staff deep enough to give us a run at a super regional?
Yes, truly. And if they get Kempner back and he's healthy,
Yeah.
and they have that bullet,
Yeah.
and then they have another guy named
Owen Wild.
Owen Wild, not Oscar Wilde.
Mhm.
Vicky Wood, she's the English teacher in the family. Not Oscar Wilde,
Mhm.
but Owen Wild.
Yeah.
And I watched him pitch for the first time last weekend. Mike, he's legit.
It's fun.
Have you seen him?
He's fun. Yes, I've seen him live. Fun.
Yeah.
And to
Yeah.
think about it, he really changed everything for himself when they went to Oklahoma State and Stillwater. We swept Oklahoma State at their place, which really kind of put a stamp on the quality of this team, especially the pitching staff. And Owen came in and cleaned up a mess that could have quickly gone the wrong direction. And he looked like a senior out there when he punched out two guys in a row and completely stopped the momentum of the Cowboys. So I keep going back. I've had an opportunity. Obviously, I live here. We watch the games. We're close to the program. I just don't remember last time we had a pitching staff this deep to even be sitting here and talking and thinking that we're well ranked in the middle of the top 5, and we have a guy who throws 100 who can't pitch right now. I mean, that just shows you how deep we are. So,
And I think that Wild, I love his mechanics.
I love it.
It's so clean, and he's low 90s, and he's just a sophomore. He's gonna be, by the end of the year, he's gonna be, he's gonna be getting stronger. And then there's other pieces to that pitching staff, Mike. I mean, they don't throw 96 miles an hour, but they can pitch.
Right.
And we've seen this, and damn me for not remembering all their names in succession, but there's 5 or 6 guys that have had a lot of experience on a Division I mound already in the last couple of years that can go in and get a big out or eat some innings here or do what a staff needs to do, not just all the glory, but get you through and hold off somebody. So yeah, to answer your big question, this team has, they do. They have what it takes.
Now think about this. We can go into so many more topics. We're going to have you back on. There is no question. No question. We could sit here for 2 hours.
Oh, right? I love it.
Yeah, but I think what we'll do is I'm going to save a couple of these topics for a later episode. But before we go, though, I thought what would be fun is we could go through a little rapid fire here and ask you some questions. See what comes out. One word answers. Don't think too much.
One word answer.
One word, pretty much, right?
All right.
All right. So who meant more to beat, Bobo or Ed Chef?
Sorry, I'm having trouble. Please try it in a little while.
Okay, Alexa wants to
Pick
talk.
me up. I like that. So who meant more to beat, Bobo or Ed?
Not even close.
Bobo, 100%. I love it.
It's-
Marco Gonzalez's, think about this, Marco Gonzalez's changeup or Darren Blood's slider?
Oh, Darren Blood slider.
Knickers or long pants?
Oh, knickers.
Knickers, I love it. Favorite pregame song during BP?
Oh, what's the name of that song? You know it.
Is it Kryptonite?
It's Kryptonite. Yes.
There we go, Kryptonite. Runner on third, tie game, 1 out. Do you squeeze bunt or go for the hit?
You squeeze him in.
Perfect. And one moment, if you think about it, one moment that encapsulates Gonzaga baseball.
Ooh. Okay, we're in the West Regionals in Tempe, Arizona State. We've won the first game. And we beat Washington State, as a matter of fact, 5-1. Sometimes the wins come back to you pretty
I
clear.
like that, dropping that. I like that. Good job.
The winningest program in the country that year was UNLV. And they had a left-handed pitcher named Herb Pryor, All-American, top draft pick. And UNLV had beat Arizona State that night. So A-State was 0-1, and UNLV and Gonzaga were 1-0. We had a walk-on sophomore pitcher named Tom Gorman, who we flipped the ball to start this game against Herb Pryor. And it was a barn burner. And it was to get to the championship game. And in fact, if you win this game, you're not only in the championship game to win and go to Omaha, you have 2 shots at it because
That's
A-State
huge.
had lost already. So it's going. We're ahead 3-1. They come back, tie it, or they don't tie it, 3-2. It's the 9th inning. They're the home team. He's still out there twirling a nifty 11 hitter. And I've got a guy named Wade Leach in the bullpen throwing gas, and he could. And I get on the phone. They had phones back then. We get on the phone. This is 1978, by the way. My first team.
Mm-hmm.
And I call my assistant, Mark Fishback. I go, how's Leach throwing? He goes, throwing gas. Get him in there. Because the guy at the plate with 2 out in the bottom of the 9th inning, runner at second and first, and they're going to be going. There's, and he's got, I go, okay, timeout. I step out of the dugout to go get Leach and get Hook Gorman. And I step across the line, the third base line, and Gorman goes, hold it. And I go, and I remember thinking to myself, hold it. I'm taking you out of the game. And I get to the mound, he goes, get the hell off my mound. I have this. And I look in, and the batter is an All-American named Vance McHenry, who played in the big leagues a lot of years. He's a right-hand hitter. I got a guy in the bullpen, a right-hand pitcher throwing gas, and I'm going to leave this left-hander in there that is throwing a nifty 11 hitter. And I do the smartest thing I've ever done. Nothing.
You
He goes,
walked
"Get the
away.
hell off my mound." And I think I turned around to leave, and I think I mumbled something like, well, crowd him, get it on him. And before I got to the dugout, the first pitch jammed him, little slow roller to Smokey Salmons at first base. He steps on the bag. Zags win.
That's awesome. I'll
That's
never
the
get
one
tired
I-
of hearing that story.
That was my best.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, former head coach Steve Hertz on SI Zag Nation. Love you, Hertzy.